Yesterday, in newspaper and on YouTube, I saw on the channel, I believe it was the highest growth channel, that large scale channel, I'm not sure about the exact name, which posts daily update on global news and world news, but it has the word IAS in it, and it's a very huge channel with lakhs, maybe even a crore of subscribers. They had a video come out. The title of the video was Australian finally gets a citizenship in India. He may be a sportsman, footballer, cricketer, but that is not what matters here, and that is not the scope of this video to debate about such a trivial thing. What really matters is to explain the power dynamics that exist between Western countries and between our country. The power dynamics is not one of equals. It is not one in which the United Nations would love to come forth and say, we are all in this together. Each and every nation has a vote, each and every nation has a voice, and everyone's voice matters. It's all fair and democratic in the United Nations. No, that spirit of harmony, that spirit of equality, and that we are all in this together and it's all just one big happy kumbaya. No, it's not. The fact that an Australian, he may be a cricketer or a sportsman or whatever, has come down and got a citizenship in India is something worthy of news, shows how bad the power dynamics of our country and the other countries are. It shows how much we know deep down that we consider ourselves inferior and a level below and say, wow, oh, this foreigner has come to bless this land. When was the last time you have seen any news in USA, Australia, Europe, or any developed country say, wow, this Indian guy has got our country citizenship and it's a big news channel, it's something worthy of a YouTube video. That one, such a huge channel, one of India's biggest channels too, I may add. Never. Why? Because to them, not only is it normal, not only is it, I really couldn't give a damn, but it's also pissing them off. In fact, they hate that. There's a reason why racism against Indians is increasing day by day globally. This shows the utter state of how horrible the power dynamics in our country is. Where is Vishwaguru now? Not believe the lies certain YouTubers peddle, certain influencers peddle, certain newspapers peddle, and all those reels created by those who are paid to do brainwashing of the common man, to keep them from the truth, even if the truth is what is only going to take us forward in the future. They do that. The power dynamics is a horrible one, and it is a shame if we go back in history. So let's take a little time travel. Let's look back to 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago, we were a civilization. Yes, every country now is a civilization, but I want you to imagine 5,000 years ago. No internet, no computers, probably horrible and very base level iron and steel working. Just imagine there's no iron and steel. There's no buildings, there's no apartment, there's no concrete, there is no watch, there is no malls, there is no cars, there is no petrol, there is no flights. 5,000 years ago, people still lived in caves. I want you to imagine that. A caveman, long, unkept hair, long beard, wearing on top of him the skin of a deer or some kind of woolen cloth made roughly, and down another pair of skin, living in a cave. I want to ask you, how many of you have even seen a cave in recent? Almost no one has even seen a cave in recent times, but I want you to remember that there were people living in caves, holding a giant stick, and they would go out to hunt animals with spears, with clubs, and with primitive traps laying holes, and they would take that deer and on top of a campfire. How many of you would have even used a real life campfire to cook some meat? I guess no one has, because that is such an exotic experience, but that was the norm then. Someone cooking on a campfire meat, and they would share it with their 7, 8 children, and they would hunt and repeat that. That was 5,000 years ago. And remember, 5,000 years ago, we were the most advanced civilization, the Indus Valley civilization. When people were living in caves, what were we doing? I'll tell you. We invented buttons. We had the most advanced drainage system, while now the entire world mocks us for our street defecation. They mock us for having horrible hygiene. But remember, back then we had the most advanced sewage system of all. That shows a lot. We had houses that have lasted for 5,000 years. We had such an advanced trade from the Indus Valley civilization all the way to Mesopotamia, Iran, Iraq, 5,000 years ago. The most advanced civilization. And I want you to think about Europe then. Europe then was not highly developed. I believe it was a hunter gatherer society back then, 5,000 years ago. Now let's come back to more recent time, 1,600 years ago, the 1400s, the time when the Vijayanagara Empire was at its prime. The Vijayanagara Empire, once visited by the Portuguese traveler Nunes, described it as one of the wealthiest cities on this planet. And now most of you watching over this video may have not even heard of the name of the city, the capital, Hampi, here in Karnataka. Hampi. That city, Hampi, is now more like a town. It is not really even a fraction of what it once was. The city where on the street markets, hawkers would sell gold, diamonds, rubies, and emeralds. I want you to imagine street hawkers, which we've seen today, selling pani puri, selling chaat, selling aloo chaat, selling some tarkari, selling some bananas. They were selling rubies, gold, and diamonds on it. I want you to imagine that. Take it. Imagine guy selling pani puri, but remove that and he's selling rubies. And such a high quality of morality and ethics in that state, where people wouldn't even have locks for their doors, locks for their shops, even though they had gold in it, because that's how good the society was. They had such high moral values, they wouldn't even have locks. And now can we say the same? Will If you leave your belongings in a park and let it go for an hour, do you think it's really going to be there? Many people know that there's a very, very good chance it gets stolen. Look at that, just 600 years. Now, India, 600 years, has become a laughing stock of the world. It has become the biggest target of racists of all types, of all nations to make fun of. Most of you watching this probably have Instagram, and you have probably known that Instagram is a cesspool of racism. And if seen, the racism is extremely divisive. Some people are racist against them, but not racist against them. They fight against each other and they defend each other. They say being racist against him is not right, being racist against him is okay. But what every single community can one accept over there is that they all can accept wholeheartedly and unitedly against Indians and be ferociously racist against them. That shows a lot. That shows a lot. The fact that we, the most populous country, who should have the most moral authority based on our history of most non-violent, non-expansionist country, has become the target of such disgusting and cheap racism. This is not the trait of a Vishwaguru. Vishwaguru is imaginary. This is not Vishwaguru. This is Vishwa Joker. This is Vishwa comedian. This is Vishwa shithole. This is Vishwa kick him in the fucking face type of thing. And I'm not, I'm tired of this. I'm tired of seeing our country being seen as the mocking stock. And I'm tired. Every day I am so angry seeing what we once were 5,000 years ago and even just 400 years ago to what we have now become. Remember, we cannot now say it's always the British's fault. Yes, the British They have not benefited our country. Their 200 years have devastated us. But that is not an excuse to be made. Because what have the politicians of our country been doing for the 80 years? I want to know. Are they doing some kind of grand scheme plan? Maybe they're going to next year, because they've been planning from 80 years ago. We're going to colonize Mars. We're going to, in one snap, we're going to make India the most developed, and it's going to be such a surprise. So for that, we need 80 years to prepare. Are they doing something like that? No. What they're doing is, this man is from this caste. This man said this about this group of people. This man is against this policy. This man is against all this type of nonsense meant to keep us away from the truth that our nation is right now not in the rise but in the decline. Think about it. China, USA, and the European countries, much smaller than us, have been going up and up in the AI revolution, and India is only slowly catching up. Slowly catching up. And worse is that the so-called development that's happening is only benefiting a very certain small sector of the people. The common man still faces a lot of problems. Indeed, I once spoke to a shopkeeper in front of my house. She was a woman in her 40s and her husband. Both of them own a vegetable shop, not like the one in the Tarkari selling the street pushing cart, but they had a shop. They had a shop, small, I don't know, 12 by 12 feet shop. They sold many vegetables, and next to it, they had a stationery shop. Both of them were not built by with their own funds or their liquid funds. No, it was all from the loan. They used the loan, and they bought those two things. And I asked them what kind of problems you are facing the most. They said loans, the interest rates are increasing year by year. And I want to know what kind of vikas is this? The interest rates are lowering. So how are they even going to take care of those businesses? So the business, the growth we see is only happening for the top 1%, for their gigantic factories and for their sole wealth increasing activities. It is not helping the common man become wealthy. No, no, no. Then why are the interest rates increasing? Clearly, clearly, it's benefiting a few. It's benefiting a few, and I don't need to tell you what few this is, because if you see what's happening in the state of our nation, that the ruling government knows that what it has been doing is nothing worth noteworthy. That's why they try to imagine and they try to give us false bogeymen to go against. This is the tactic of politicians. See, what has to be done is that we must come to the conclusion and a definitive united stance on this fact that the politicians, that class, and the 1% of people is not lifting the society as it should. The purpose of them having power is not so they can oppress, they can loot us, and they can be in power for as long as they like without consequences. No. And this, and many of them take the mask of being highly religious, highly conservative, highly traditional. They love to wear the panche, love to wear the kurta, they love to wear the trinama, they love to wear bottu on their head. They love to go to temples and take photos and say, and make everyone say, wow, so great. But they are not following true dharma, because if they did, they would remember the sixth avatar of Lord Vishnu. They always talk about the seventh avatar, Lord Rama, Lord Rama, Lord Rama. Always, always about Lord Rama. Why? Because they want to say, see, we are also like Lord Rama. They want to use Lord Rama's imagery and associate themselves with him, especially a certain, very certain political party loves to do that. Think that, try to take Rama and his face, being a mere mortal, and just attach them together so the people see him as the Lord Rama, the incarnation of Lord Rama, and he is the model of good governance, because Lord Rama is the moral of Lord Rama is good governance and the best possible king, ruler of the people. They want to steal that legacy, but they are deliberately hiding the legacy of the sixth version of Vishnu, which is when evil rises, you cannot make peace with it. When the snake bites you, you cannot hug it. When the snake bites your child, you cannot go and first release the snake in the child and give it some milk on the side. When the wolf is eating your sheep, You cannot beg the wolf. And when the lion is coming to bite off your head, you cannot pray to God. You must pick up the weapon and strike. That is what the sixth avatar of Lord Vishnu has taught us. To pick up the weapon and strike. And we have forgotten that. We know what kind of rot is infecting our country. Still stuck in futile divisions. This caste against that caste, this language against this language, this ethnicity against this ethnicity, this state versus this state. Silly and futile things while the world is moving ahead at an alarming pace, while we are going to be left behind. Remember the Industrial Revolution. Our country was not part of the Industrial Revolution while the rest of the European countries were. And what happened? You know, colonialism, and you know how horrible that was. And I warn you that such a similar fate could happen once again. That is why. That is why I want you to remember Lord Parshurama. He has taught us that when times are hard, you must pick up the weapon. You must strike. You cannot beg. You cannot compromise. You cannot negotiate with evil. You must strike and do what's right. That is why Lord Parshurama was the sixth incarnation. Sixth, that's a very specific sequence. Right before Lord Rama was him. And his axe, it symbolizes clearing out the woods, clearing out the thick jungle, clearing out all the problems. The axe. We need to pick up the axe, which is our voice, which is our sanity, which is our beliefs, and strike down those who would like us to keep our axes dull, who would like us to always remain cheering them on, treating them as gods, the 1% of Indian society. This cannot go on forever. This cannot go on forever. We will have to take action and we will have to be in charge. This is the only way to ensure that Bharat, Aryavarta, India will triumph once it was, like how it was 5,000 years ago, how it was 1,000 years ago, how it was 600 years ago. We deserve better and we will make it better.